It began with a roar, not just a cheer, but a sound that seemed to shake the entire city of Los Angeles. The streets were trembling, the skyscrapers echoing with one name, one heartbeat that connected 230,000 people together. Ohtani. They screamed, as if the name itself had become a legend breathed into life. From the first rays of morning sunlight, downtown LA had turned into a sea of blue and white, Dodgers jerseys, homemade banners, Japanese flags waving beside American ones. There was electricity in the air, something that felt almost divine. People had camped overnight, just to stand on this street, to see him, the man who changed everything. When the parade began, the sound was deafening. The champions were finally home. After months of battles, heartbreaks, and miracles, the Dodgers stood on their floats, waving to a city that had waited decades for this feeling. But there was one moment everyone was waiting for, when Shohei Ohtani would appear. And then it happened. A white open-top bus turned the corner of Figueroa Street. Cameras rose like a forest of hands. Every rooftop, every window, every balcony was filled with fans screaming. And in the middle, wearing sunglasses, a simple white Dodgers cap, stood Ohtani, smiling that calm, quiet smile that could melt the hardest hearts. For a second, time froze. People couldn't believe it. He wasn't supposed to be real, not the man who hit 50 home runs and pitched like a Cy Young contender in the same season. Not the player who had come back from injury, faced doubt, and still carried his team to glory. As the bus rolled slowly through the crowd, Ohtani lifted the championship trophy. The sunlight hit the golden surface, scattering reflections across thousands of faces. It was more than a trophy, it was a dream that had come true, shared by an entire generation. Nearby, a mother hugged her son tightly, tears streaming down her face. "He did it," she whispered. "He really did it." The boy, maybe 10 years old, looked up at the float in awe. "Mom," he said softly, "I want to be like him." That's when Ohtani noticed. He saw the boy, pointed at him, and raised his glove, a simple gesture, but enough to make that child's life unforgettable. The crowd erupted again. Even the players around Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, couldn't stop smiling. They knew what this moment meant. Ohtani wasn't just a superstar, he was hope, unity, and inspiration, all in one person. A chant began to rise, one that started small but soon swept across the entire boulevard. MVP, MVP, MVP. Ohtani laughed, shaking his head humbly. He pointed to his teammates, signaling that it was about them all, not just him. But the crowd didn't stop. They kept chanting, louder, stronger, until even the police officers on the edges of the crowd were smiling. Then came the unexpected. From the top of the next float, a banner began to unfold. It was handwritten, massive, with a message that caught everyone's breath. It read, "For Japan. For LA. For baseball." The moment those words appeared, Ohtani's expression changed. You could see emotion in his eyes, the kind that couldn't be hidden behind sunglasses. He placed his hand on his chest and bowed his head slightly. Reporters captured that exact second, a photo that would later go viral around the world, Ohtani, the champion, standing tall above the crowd yet humble as ever. Then, a small group of Japanese fans near the front began singing, "Los Angeles My Home," a song that had become symbolic during the season. Within moments, the melody spread through the entire crowd. English voices joined Japanese ones, creating something beautiful, a harmony that transcended language, culture, and distance. Tears ran down faces everywhere. Even the stoic veterans on the Dodgers staff couldn't hold back emotion. This wasn't just a parade, it was history breathing in real time. Television broadcasts all over the world captured the scene. In Tokyo, fans stayed up past midnight, watching with pride. In rural Japan, elderly men in small bars raised glasses to their TV screens. Across the Pacific, millions were united by this one player's journey. Ohtani leaned over the railing of the float, waving gently, signing a few baseballs tossed his way. One of them landed in the hands of a little girl who instantly started crying from joy. The cameras zoomed in as Ohtani gestured, mouthing the words, "Be strong." Behind him, the Dodgers manager took the mic. His voice cracked as he said, "Ladies and gentlemen, this man gave us more than wins, he gave us belief again." The applause was thunderous. Then, in a perfectly cinematic twist, Ohtani grabbed the mic himself. The crowd hushed instantly. He didn't give a long speech. Just one line, "Los Angeles, we did this together." The crowd roared so loud that the sound echoed for blocks. Helicopters overhead caught aerial shots of the city covered in confetti. The blue and white storm rained down like blessings from the sky. But Ohtani wasn't done. As the parade neared the end of the route, he suddenly stepped down from the float. The security team tensed, but he waved them off. He walked right to the barricade and shook hands with the fans, hundreds of them, one by one. He wasn't just waving from a distance, he was among them. People were crying, screaming his name, holding out baseballs, jerseys, even babies. And yet, Ohtani took the time, smiling, thanking everyone in Japanese and English alike. When he finally climbed back up, the sun was setting, casting golden light across the downtown skyline. It looked unreal, like the perfect ending to a Hollywood movie. The announcer's voice cracked through the speakers, announcing him as the most extraordinary athlete in the world. But Ohtani simply waved again, humbly, his face glowing under the warm light. As the parade concluded, and the fans slowly began to drift away, you could feel something sacred had just happened. People weren't just leaving a celebration, they were leaving a memory they'd tell their grandchildren someday. And maybe that's the true power of Ohtani. It's not just what he does on the field, it's what he makes people feel. That in a divided world, a single man with a bat and a smile could unite millions. That greatness isn't loud or arrogant. It's silent, patient, and full of grace. As night fell over Los Angeles, the city still buzzed with energy. The confetti still clung to the streets. The echoes of MVP, MVP still lingered in the air. And somewhere high above, in the quiet of a hotel room, Shohei Ohtani probably sat looking out over the glowing skyline, the same skyline that had screamed his name just hours earlier, and smiled. Because for one perfect day, he didn't just play for a team. He played for everyone who still believes in miracles.